to talk about one of the documents that I believe is fraudulent that has been filed in the Los Angeles County Recorder's Office regarding my property. Actually, I think I'm going to talk about two. I have redacted any references to me, and it should be noted that I purchased my home in 2003, at which time Wells Fargo, who seemed to be legitimate, held and serviced my mortgage. After about a year, Washington Mutual aggressively pursued me to take on a new mortgage with a much lower payment, and unfortunately, I took the bait. So, not even 2 years later, I was a WAMU customer. At least I think I was. In 2012, there is a document filed by Chase in Monroe, Louisiana, with instructions that say, when recorded, mail to UST Global at a Pennsylvania address. Now that company seems to exist since then, at least regard with their involvement to fraudulent companies. So in company documents. The document is also completely fraudulent, having known robo-signers and coming from Chase headquarters in Monroe, Louisiana, pictured here. We shall deal with that document in another video. But let's look at the most egregious of fraudulent documents. The courts have ruled that SPS does not have standing when you cannot prove that they have the deed of trust, or some cases the note. In 2015, SPS decided to handle this by creating a lot of false documents and deeds of trust. Mine is called the California Gap Assignment of Deed of Trust.
This document, up here in the upper left-hand corner, you have recording requested by Pearson Patterson LLP. That is a law firm that removes themselves from any accountability at all on the document. They just process it. I talked to them directly and they definitely removed themselves. Now this statement, this gap assignment is being made to correct the gap, blah, blah, blah. There are two instruments, so that needs to be looked into. I'm not a specialist in that, so I can't do that. I can say that this definitely says that it's at JP Morgan Chase in Monroe, Louisiana, which I find suspect in itself. Now, the most egregious things here are the fact this Angela McNeil, I can't find any sign of her anywhere in existence, and the notary refuses to supply me with anything, and I have a complaint against that notary. There's also a whole video on her, but her name is Wanda Inez Kinzer, and she refuses to give me the information and in fact turn my request over to Chase. So this is part of a document that's fraudulent. Okay, so we have this document here, and you'll see this paragraph right here where it says the assignment is intended to further memorialize the transfer that occurred by operation of law on September 25th, 2008, as authorized by Section 11D2GI2 of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act 12 U.S.C. 182(1)D2GI2. Now, if you Google that, you won't find much. And also these other numbers here, you may find lawsuits associated with them. Sometimes they're mentioned in lawsuits or civic reports on foreclosures in counties that have gotten suspicious of their foreclosures. Now we go to the second page again, and I want to look right here at the area where we have the Federal Deposit of Insurance information, where it says here that JP Morgan Chase Bank National Association, successor of interests by purchase from the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation as a receiver of Washington Mutual Bank, FKA Washington Mutual Bank, as a blah blah. So what that means is nothing, because we know that now Washington Mutual did not turn over any mortgages to JP Morgan. They turned over debt, but they did not turn mortgages over. So that did not happen. So they do not own your mortgage if you had a Washington Mutual mortgage. There's that notary public, Wanda Kinzer, still trying to get a hold of the information on this person who doesn't exist. There are a lot of vice presidents of Chase. A lot of them are from Monroe, Louisiana, and other outrageous areas. But this one is just So this next document is the substitution of trustee. It was recorded by Select Portfolio Servicing, and the person or the company that was supposed to receive this was Quality Loan Service Corporation. They had subsequently already attempted to let me know that my home was for sale, and I let them know that no, it was not, that they did not have standing, and I haven't heard from them since. Uh, as you can see, there's again, there's reference to instrument numbers that are basically meaningless. Again, it bears repeating that according to this is Cristina Diaz de Leon is a document control officer, but she actually proudly boasts on her Facebook that she is a foreclosure specialist for Select Portfolio Servicing. So this means that I was in foreclosure, and that was on 6/11/16, right in the middle of the modification process, again against the Homeowners Act of California, also known as the Homeowner Bill of Rights, which we've discussed in other videos. Now this to me is the craziest of all, because this is about Angela K. Peterson, also known as Angela Peterson, who also boasts proudly that she is a foreclosure specialist at Select Portfolio Servicing, when she is a notary public for the state of Utah. You really can't be both, because if they are foreclosing, they are benefiting. She gets to keep her job at Select Portfolio because they are foreclosing. So that means she has an interest in the property. And I would also suspect that she is having an interest in possibly bonuses and other methods of compensation at SPS that she should not be benefiting from. And I simply cannot reiterate enough how this is just so inappropriate and a fraudulent document, on top of having all misleading information. This is the first time WAMU pass-through account has ever been mentioned, or Deutsche Bank. This is after many qualified written requests, and this is just proof that I've looked into the pass-through account, and my mortgage has nothing to do with that. So, so long, Select Portfolio Servicing.
Now, that's according to their own guidelines. So if you should bump into Christina, who actually identifies herself as a foreclosure specialist, or Angela, who, unless there happen to be two at the same address, also identifies herself as a foreclosure specialist, please ask them why they would engage in fraud. And what is it with you Salt Lake City, Utah people that enjoy the title of fraud capital of the United States? Well, that's all for today's documents. But we'll research more, and we will try to get back to you whenever we can. However, I want to assure you that I will not only be going after SPS for what they've done to me with regard to my home, but I intend to sue for punitive damages for the harassment I've endured. I also may go after some of these individuals directly, because it is clear that they knowingly committed fraud. And of course, I will be attempting to get every agency who has jurisdiction to go after all the fraudsters, and hopefully get some people thrown in jail under the RICO statutes.